It is Saturday, October 26th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today presented to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. A very sad producer, Dan, is along for the ride as well. I like the rare Saturday edition because that means it is big-time baseball, and holy smokes, dude, what a game one.
It was absolutely insane. We talked about this World Series being kind of good for baseball, bringing in casual fans. I think anybody that watched that game tonight will be tuning in tomorrow as well. I mean, that was everything you could hope for. I understand if you're a Yankees fan, you're upset about it, but just as far as baseball games go, there's nothing better than that.
No, it was freaking awesome. So this World Series edition of Baseball Today is presented to you by SeatGeek. Special announcement to help celebrate the Fall Classic. SeatGeek, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, giving all of you out there 10% off your next purchase with the code JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10. It doesn't matter what you're buying or if you've bought on SeatGeek before, use that code JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10. It's going to hook you up. That is JOHNBOYPLAYOFFS10 for 10% off your next SeatGeek purchase. You will thank us later. Those of you that were fortunate enough to head to Dodger Stadium for Game 1 of the 2024 World Series, you saw a classic. Not only did we get extra baseball, we got a come-from-behind victory by the hometown team and a first-ever walk-off grand slam.
Cortez delivers. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Gibby, meet Freddie. Game 1 of the World Series.
That's stuff you are 5 years old in the backyard right there. And that's a dream come true, but that's only one. We got 3 more.
I love it when Ken Rosenthal has to interview somebody right after like a heart-stopping moment. He sounds like he just ran the 100-meter, sprints in the Olympics or something. He could barely talk.
I'm not like a chemical engineer, or is that even the terminology? Like, I don't know what chemicals are running through your body after you do something like that.
By the way, I don't think that's a chemical engineer.
That's not. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it might be.
Is it endorphins? Is it adrenaline? I don't know. I'm a high school grad. Yeah, he is running on pure emotion right there. Can you imagine the feeling?
No, I cannot. It was awesome. It was awesome. By the way, we'll get to Aaron Boone's decisions momentarily, but really we're going to focus on the guy who's literally hobbled on one leg throughout the last several weeks, right? I mean, he had 8 days off before the postseason series against the Padres. There were times out there where you were like, what is he doing? He missed several games in the postseason. This is a guy who is used to posting every single day, and it's one of the reasons that, in my opinion, he's going to end up in Cooperstown is the fact that he is just so consistent with his ability to use the field and go gap to gap. But, man, he said to Ken Rosenthal afterward, I was sitting first pitch fastball. I was waiting for that. And, boy, oh, boy, he took it for a ride. It was beautiful for baseball fans out there, unless you're somebody with NY on their hat.
Yeah, no, obviously, if you're a Yankee fan, that was a shot to the heart right there. Freddie's ability, he kind of I feel like he shows it every single game. Like he's literally a guy that uses the entire field. We saw I guess, was that a triple in the first? Did they give him a triple?
Yeah, that's what they did because it took kind of a weird bounce off the wall. I mean, Doogie didn't play a great angle on it, but yeah.
So you see him shoot the ball to left like that. And okay, this guy's a total bat to ball guy. He can go do that. And then you get the first pitch here from Nestor and he just bombs it, out to right field. So he is the complete package. And I mean, that's why the Dodgers are so dangerous. You can walk Mookie, you can even get Ohtani out, but then you still have to deal with a Hall of Famer like Freddie Freeman, who in those situations, man, his bat to ball skills are so good. Like he might be the most dangerous of the three in situations like that, where you just need to get one across to tie the game. Like, it was incredible, Chris.
Well, on Friday's show, we asked the question, out of the 6 everyday player superstars, there's 3 on each team. So it was Soto, Judge, Stanton, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. We had to answer which guy did we think was going to really star in the Fall Classic. And I think we went through it And I don't think either one of us considered Freddie Freeman because the guy hadn't had an extra base hit in like a month or something, and he ends up hitting a triple and the walk-off grand slam. But it just shows you how much ability this guy does have.
Yeah, I mean, so many things happen in this game. Hopefully, we get to break it all down. Tommy Edman in the 9-hole doing what he did, like turning the lineup over. I don't know, man. This was such a great game.
Yeah, and we will get to the Aaron Boone decision to put Nestor Cortes in that situation and maybe even take out Garrett Cole a little bit early for some liking out there. I did think that the Alex Verdugo catch on the one out that Nestor Cortes did record there in the 10th was huge because he ended up falling over the wall, which moved both runners up. So now it makes it easy for him, Aaron Boone, to decide to walk Mookie Betts. If it's first and second there, do you think it plays out any differently?
He doesn't walk Mookie there. No, he might try to pitch around him a little bit, try to get him to chase something, but he's not just going to put him on. So, yeah, I do think it plays out differently. I think it would be a Nestor versus Mookie matchup. Once those guys, great catch by Verdugo. Ohtani first pitch swinging. He was very aggressive today. Did that the first pitch that he saw in the game as well. But, yeah, once the runners moved over, I knew immediately that Mookie was not going to get a chance there, and it was going to be Freddie. And you kind of thought, if you're a Yankee fan, hey, we're getting a better matchup here. This is the matchup that we want, lefty. And then we were talking before the show started, Chris, Nestor threw 2 pitches.
Yeah.
He threw 2 pitches.
One was a foul out, and one was over the wall. So people are wondering why Aaron Boone went with a guy who hadn't been in a Major League Baseball game in more than 5 weeks. Here was his answer afterward.
Just like the matchup. The reality is he's been throwing the ball really well the last few weeks as he's gotten ready for this. I knew with one out there it'd be tough to double up Shohei if Tim Hill gets him on the ground, and then Mookie behind him is a tough matchup there. So felt convicted with Nestor in that spot.
Is that good enough for you?
I mean, like, a manager's got to live and die by his decisions. I mean, he's giving us his thought process. I love the move. As soon as Nestor came in, I said, this is crazy. The guy hasn't pitched in a month, going up against, the part of the Dodgers lineup. I just thought it didn't make sense. Tim Hill's been really good. I thought that was the guy they brought there to go through that lane if they needed it, especially if they were going to – he didn't know this, but if you were going to have to face 2 lefties, you get to walk Mookie. I thought Tim would be the guy, but – he has faith in Nestor. You have to respect that a little bit, but I thought definitely it was odd, man. As soon as it happened, and this is not a hindsight take, like as soon as it happened, I was like, this is going to be something. It's either going to be a great move or a bad move, and unfortunately for Yankees fans, it was a bad move. I even texted Jimmy and Jake. I was like, this is crazy they're bringing him in right here. Talk about throwing him back into the fire, and obviously it did not work out.
Well, Dave Roberts did it earlier in the game with Brusdar Graterol, who's really been banged up this year. Had a shoulder injury earlier, had basically a ripped hamstring. They didn't even know that he was going to be on the roster until earlier on Friday, and he had to go right through the huge part of the Yankees order. Now, it wasn't the same situation. It wasn't trying to preserve a 1-run win. It wasn't extra innings. He did have innings behind him, and it probably was a move, but it was similar from that standpoint in terms of using a guy in a pretty big situation where he hadn't been healthy and hadn't been in major league competition in quite a while. I was shocked by this. I did look at Tim Hill's stats against Freddie Freeman, and Freeman 3 for 8 with a bomb against him. So if the situation, what Boone was saying is that it's hard to double up Shohei Ohtani. Your best hope is that he hits a line drive right at somebody, and that's how you get doubled up. But if he grounds out and it's still second and third with 2 outs, you're still going to walk Mookie. You're still going to get Freddie Freeman, and he's got some numbers against Tim Hill. I'm guessing that that's what he was looking at.
Yeah, again, it's not – you're going to have to go through that lineup with somebody, and you're not always going to win those matchups. Those guys are great hitters. I think getting a guy in there that's – he hasn't thrown in a month. Like, there is rest. And yeah, I love that you brought up Graterol. I didn't even know he was on the roster, to be honest with you. And then all of a sudden he's out there barehanding balls, like doing his whole thing. He was like staring Soto down. He felt very ready for that moment. But I just something. If I'm a manager, I want the guys of kind of like they're in it right now. Like Tim Hill's been in the playoffs, been doing it. He seems like he's in the moment. I don't know.
Well,
I think that was my biggest takeaway is, man, putting a guy out there in that situation that hasn't pitched in a month. And like some of the quotes before this about Nestor saying, I'll miss an entire year just so I can pitch in the World Series because he's battling some injuries. It was a curious decision.
Well, not only that, he said after giving up the home run, I told those guys I didn't just want to be on the roster. I wanted to help us win it and compete, which is fine. Nothing wrong with it. But
he's also not a reliever necessarily.
Yeah,
like, I know he's done it in the past. Like, there's just a lot of things that were
there's
curious
a lot
about
of things. Yeah, I was shocked. And I was trying to explain it to Michelle as we were watching the game. She's like, oh, okay, tell me about this guy. I was like, well, he hasn't pitched in a major league game in 5 weeks, and he's normally a starter. So it's probably not ideal, but it made for great theater. That's all I can tell you. If you're the Yankees, you look back on this, your bullpen until that 10th inning really did, I felt like, a remarkable job. And Garrett Cole, too, kind of weaving in and out of danger all day, right? They have runners on in the 6th. Jazz makes that amazing play on Mookie Betts. They end up getting Freddie to fly out. What?
It was an okay play. I'm not trying to take anything from Jazz. I thought he had a great game, but there was a lot of talk about that play. He just moved a little to his left. The ball will get in your glove when it's hit like that.
Okay, so I was going to ask you. That's more reactionary than anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
That ball sticks in your glove 10 times out of 10.
Okay, good. Well, that's why it's great to have a third baseman on the show. Very good. I played outfield. I had an outfielder's arm, so I wouldn't know about that. And the fact that Jazz did have a great game with a couple of knocks, barreled it up pretty good, I thought. 3 stolen bases, the whole bit. Like, I thought that I think that's what makes this really tough for Yankees fans. Maybe not the players, because you guys have the ability to just, hey, we got to roll in and play tomorrow. But for Yankee fans, because your ace did his job, you did enough. It felt like you kept the Dodgers off the board when they had runners in scoring position in the middle innings, and you felt like you could have walked out of there. When you got to get 4, you got to win 1 in their building.
Yeah, and Mookie and Ohtani 1 for 8 on the day, so you held them in check. I thought that they did expose some things for the Dodgers, some cracks, if you will, like the stolen bases by Jazz and by Volpe there. You can't let that happen, dude. I know, like, relievers a lot of times will say, I don't care about stolen bases, I'm gonna strike this guy out. Like, you just can't have that happen.
I agree.
Like, I was watching that saying, this is going to cost them the baseball game because they can't hold a runner on. Like, that just can't happen. And I guarantee if they get in that situation again, they're going to be running again. And we saw what 90 feet does in these games. Shohei getting to third base before Mookie sack fly. Like, it's just this extra 90 feet means so much. And they were taking it at will against Trinan and Smith right there. So, when that happens again, Trinan will be in a game again, I'm assuming, in this World Series. They will be stealing.
Yeah. And the one thing, if you're a Yankee fan, that you look at, and it was the misplay by Glaber on the Ohtani double, right? I mean,
yeah.
Was Rizzo out of position on that play?
I don't even know where he was.
He was more at first base than he was. Now the ball bounces into the middle of the diamond, which is kind of no man's land there.
Yeah. I mean, no, he's not going to – he shouldn't be over there where that ball landed, no.
Right. He's got to be
Sometimes you trail the runner, but then you need someone behind him in
right.
case, the throw comes in and he wants to get in a rundown. So
right.
I guess, trailing the runner is where he could have been. But where that ball ended up by the pitcher's mound, it's like nobody's going to be there.
Yeah, that's no man's land. So that's just going to happen. I mean, could Glaber have done a better job bodying the ball up?
Yes, that's the bigger point. Yes, you're here.
Yes. Yep. There you go. Yeah, show us. Oh, I love it when you do that.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, so that's a tough one for the Yankees and a great one for the Dodgers and a great, great one if you just love good baseball because it had a little bit of everything. By the way, we just touched on it a little bit. Were you surprised that Garrett Cole got pulled after 88 pitches?
A little bit. I thought he looked really good, and he was kind of locating where he needed to locate. He was locating both his fastball and his off-speed pitches. I'm guessing it's a third time through the order type thing.
It doesn't make any sense.
I would have left him in. 88 pitches, your guy on the mound. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised.
All right, we got more of our Game 1 World Series coverage here coming up in just a bit, but I want to tell you about a game-changing product that Michelle and I actually took with us on our trip to London and to Paris. We knew we were going to be partying it up. We're not as young as we used to be. That part happens. So what does that mean? We use this thing called Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Normally, before we were introduced to this product, we knew we don't bounce back the next day like we used to. So we usually would have to make a choice. Either we have a great raging night out, or you can actually do something with your life the next day. That was it. Those were the two choices. There was no, hey, let's do both, until Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol shows up at our door. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by a PhD scientist to tackle those rough mornings after drinking. So here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol actually gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's that byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your really rough next day. Well, pre-alcohol produces an enzyme, and it breaks this byproduct down. So just remember, make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, which we did. You drink responsibly, you'll feel your best tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/rotation. You're going to get 15% off your first order when you use rotation at checkout. Pre-alcohol is back with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/rotation. Use that code rotation at checkout for 15% off. Thanks to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this episode and our good times over in Europe. We had an amazing time. Thanks to you. All right, we continue on, and here's something good for the New York Yankees. Look who is back at it yet again.
Stanton golfs one way back there, scraping the sky and giving the Yankees the lead.
So that was awesome. His sixth homer of this postseason. Dude just continues to mash. I can't remember the last time he hit a single because I don't think he does that. It has now come to the point, Trevor Plouffe, where you cannot throw the ball inside of that little box or anywhere close to it with this dude.
Yeah, you just got to really stay on the outer part of the zone. And like you said, try to make him chase. And Jack did that at bat, the first two pitches. Smoltz did a really good job kind of going through the sequencing of that at bat. And he nailed it. As a hitter, you get those two sliders down, you swing through them. The waist pitch up, that fastball, you know what pitch is coming after that, essentially. You know that he's going to go back to that slider after the waist fastball, and that one was just like a little bit too up, I guess. It wasn't a bad pitch. It wasn't middle. It was just a little bit higher than the last ones, and we've seen him sit on some off-speed pitches before, man. That's exactly what he did there. And again, I think that was, Garrett Cole had a great outing. I think Jack threw the ball extremely well for the Dodgers. He was spinning it up there, really locating his off-speed side. We saw him get a ton of swings and misses, which is he hasn't really been doing that. And tonight he did. But that at bat, that's two things. It's Giancarlo being a very good hitter, understanding the sequencing, and it's him just being red hot right now. There'll be times, during a season where he's not like this and he'll swing over that one. But right now he's so locked in that you're right. Anything, that is in the strike zone, like he's got a chance to hit it out. I believe his last 5 hits have all been homers in the postseason. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Aaron Boone was asked afterward if he has given any thought to maybe moving Stanton up and moving Judge back in the order. And he said, no. Would you?
Aaron Judge back in the order?
Would you flip Stanton and Judge right now to have Stanton hitting behind Soto?
No, he's doing fine. Let Stanton keep doing his thing. Don't mess with that. I think Judge will come around. I thought Jack just threw some really good pitches to Judge tonight, and then he got the fastball, hit it back up the middle. That was a really good swing for him. I think Yankee fans are just waiting for that one swing that's going to turn it all around for Judge.
Yeah, well,
Hasn't really happened yet.
no, people thought that he got unlocked a couple of times in that Cleveland series, and
Yeah,
it
it did not.
hasn't.
Yeah.
It just hasn't happened. I mean, it was 3 more strikeouts tonight, and he could, he's got the highest strikeout rate of anybody with a minimum number of at bats in playoff history. So this is now, this is something that's not going to change until he either hits like a game winner, a late go ahead homer, or not to say that he hasn't. There's been times throughout the playoffs where he's done it, but now this is the biggest stage again where you have to hit the reset button and prove yourself yet again. And when the guy in front of you is doing damage, and when the guy in back of you is doing damage, and you're not, and you're up there, top 2 best players in baseball, that narrative will continue until you change it.
Exactly. I mean, he has to get it done. He had opportunities tonight that didn't come through, and it's kind of been that way throughout the postseason. There's been a couple good swings here and there, but I mean, there's a reason that we talk about him the way we talk about him, and when you get that sort of love and those accolades, like, yeah, you're going to get talked about when you don't perform. And right now, it's just he has not come through.
All right, so we will do what all good players do in the baseball world: turn the page to Saturday's Game 2. Yoshinobu Yamamoto will make his World Series debut for the Los Angeles Dodgers, taking on Carlos Rodon for the New York Yankees, who already had his game face on before Game 1 even started. Give a listen.
We're all pretty good. I know they have good hitters, but, we're here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. I think our lineup's just as good. Honestly, I think we're better, but I'm biased. But, yeah, I'm here. I'm a big leaguer too, so I'm supposed to get those guys out. That's what I'm paid for.
What'd you think?
That's a fine mentality. I'm sure he's sick of hearing about Shohei and Mookie and Freddie. How are you going to approach these big threes? In his mind, I'm going to go strike them all out. That's exactly what you want your starter to sound like and have that mentality. I think he's got that in spades. I think he's very confident. I think he wants to go out there and, get them back on the right side of this thing. And I really don't know what to expect. The Dodgers offense didn't look great today. So if he continues to kind of pitch and make them chase, I think that's where he'll have his success.
So I don't think he has pitched yet in the playoffs. And Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that Rodon has taken the mound with the Yankees behind in a series, right? Because they weren't behind in Kansas City. They weren't behind in Cleveland. So the one thing we did see in his first outing against Kansas City was he came out amped up. Yep. And he was striking out dudes left and right and kind of doing some weird stuff for Carlos Rodon, where he was kind of like sticking his tongue out and making some faces. And that's fine. Like, I have no problem with that. But then it kind of all fell apart in one inning. And I don't think he made it out of the fourth, if memory serves me. Maybe he didn't. Yeah, I think he didn't make it out of the fourth in that game. Now you've got a team where, I don't know, is it a must win? Do you call it a must win or no?
Going down 2-0 is very tough. I don't think it's a must win, but maybe I will call it a must win. The way the Dodgers, I feel like if they get that momentum and start smelling that blood in the water, man, this offense, I don't think you can hold them down for that long. There was some chances, I think they had a runner on third base, less than one out in the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. They finally broke through in the 8th. So if they continue to put themselves in those situations, they're going to come through. I guess I'm looking right now. They're only 1 for 8 today with runners in scoring position. Both teams were 1 for 8 apiece. I will say it's a must win for the Yankees tomorrow. I know it's not statistically, but it really feels that way, doesn't it?
It does. And so I'm just curious how comfortable Yankee fans are with this guy, right? They pay him $160 million to come over and be Garrett Cole's, the Robin to Garrett Cole's Batman, if you will, in the rotation. And he has, I thought he had a good year. I thought he had a really good year. And this is why they pay you. $160 million is what usually teams will give to a guy who's supposed to be at the top of their rotation, not number 2. And now I'm not going to say he's on to save their season, but he sure as hell needs to make it interesting. So, and the Yankees used all their high leverage guys. The Dodgers saw all of them, and they didn't get a win. It's one thing to be seen, like all the Dodger guys got seen, but guess what? They're up 1-0. So Carlos Rodon has got to make sure that he is who he is out on that mound, meaning energy-wise, he brings it to the table, but also make sure that he's not getting past whatever that point is in that first appearance he had against Kansas City. That's the only thing.
He looked better in his next couple starts, though. He wasn't doing the exact same thing
Right.
as he did in Kansas City. I honestly, like, Carlos Rodon's going to do his thing. He's going to go out there and pitch. I think he has to give the Yankees a good start. I understand that. But really, if we're talking who needs to step up in game 2, it is Aaron Judge. He's got to step up.
He does. All right, you know what we all need a little bit more of? To get off our ass. With bold flavors and refreshing citrus kick, Mountain Dew will get you off your ass and have you feeling like you're on an actual mountain. A mountain where the weather's always perfect, your friends are ready to hang, and a day of epic proportions awaits. So go outside. Do something fun, yet competitive. Longest drive competition, free throw shooting, or three-point shooting contest. Set up a little fishing expedition. Maybe a game of pickup football. Toss the frisbee. Play some video games if you got a monitor outside. You could play kickball. You could play wiffle ball. You could play pickleball. You could play blitzball. You could, invent any kind of ball there is out there. Why? Because the mountain is calling and you should answer. So grab your friends, grab an ice-cold Mountain Dew wherever refreshing beverages are sold. And 3 words for you. Do the do. Before we get out of here, time to check in on our friends in our stream out in the offices in New York City. Let's see how they handled the end of Game 1 of the World Series.
Let's go.
You say hot shot to Rizzo? That's it. Game over. Come on, let's do it.
Watch out. No.
That's the one place. Why they pitch him there?
Walk-off grand slam.
Why the fuck?
You know what? Subdue. I guess they were more shocked than anything else, because if that had been a Cleveland stream, that would have been a few F-bombs. I can just tell you.
That was I as soon as that home run was hit, I said I can't wait to see the reaction. I was not watching the live stream. I was watching the game with my family, and as soon as it was hit, I was like, I got to see what happened there. And it kind of seemed like they were ready for some pain, right? Like they weren't like surprised by it. They were just like expecting it almost. They got to change that attitude a little bit, Chris, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, when Ohtani came up to bat first against Nestor, they were like, oh, we don't like this. Somebody, I think Joe said like a laser shot right to Rizzo, and he steps on first, and we'll call it a day and get out of here with a win. Like, I think they knew that somebody was going to barrel him up.
Once the ball got under Cabrera's glove, and you knew that it was going to have not just one chance with Ohtani, but 2 chances with those 3 guys, I thought that was when it was trouble.
Yep. Well, a memorable Game 1. All right, folks, buckle up, because I think this is going to be great. I predicted a 7-game series being won by the Dodgers, but who the heck knows? As long as we get baseball like that, I'm good. Either way. Good either way. We are back at it again. We'll release an episode summarizing the first 2 games in LA on Sunday morning, so make sure you check it out before you watch all your football for the day. For our sad yet one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Sunday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by SeatGeek.